We started talking about renting, which is called in Arabic al-ijara, ijara. And we said that it's the same as hiring. We said that renting gains you uh, ownership of a right. Right means usage, which means benefit. And that is temporary. That's what takes it out of being a sale. Amongst what takes it out of being a sale. We also mentioned that you can hire for a time or a task for a known salary. Salary slash rent. And also, time and task are known. Both are known. Known means 100%. You know how much time. You know exactly the task. And you know exactly what you're going to get paid. And you know what you are going to be paying. So perhaps you would deal with a person who is a contractor. Be mindful, he might not want to commit to a definitive price. And if you are that one, don't be that one. Meaning, he'll say, my estimate is that's going to cost you this much. So, okay. So, how much it's going to cost? I can't tell you for sure. No. Tell me for sure. No, I can't tell you for sure. Maybe I might need to get some extra stuff. Okay. So, how much is going to cost for you to get this job done? You don't know? I will do business with someone who knows how much it's going to cost for him to get the job done. That's how it has to go. Now, I told you that amongst what you need to be wary of is a job without a definitive end. And I did tell you that this is something that's actually is easy to get around in concept. The other person, though, would have to agree. So let's look at something here. Let's take the example of a house. You want to rent a house. When will your actual lease begin? What does lease mean? Lease means your rental agreement. And the word lease, it means rent also. Yani, you rent a house, you're leasing a house. But maybe the people might say, I rent the house, I lease the car. You're renting the car. Okay, so you want to rent a house. And when does your lease begin? And you know, of course, we're talking religiously here. Your lease begins by the contract. Contract is what? Contract is the words. What are the words? The proposal and the acceptance. The proposal and the acceptance. Like a sale. Okay. But what if the person you're doing business with says, we're going to sign the contract today and you can move in on Monday? Let's say today's Wednesday. And you can move in on Monday. What's that? Invalid. That's not valid. You might say, I thought you were about to talk about how a person would be in a job indefinitely. Yeah, I'm going to tie these together for you. Inshallah. That's not valid. It's not valid because, yes, yeah, I'm going to tell you, inshallah. Yani, I want to make the whole thing clear. I want to draw a picture for you. Ameen wa fikum. Why that's not valid there? Because what's that gap in between there? What is that gap there? What's the words? So the hire or the rental, they basically, what I'm saying to you means starts immediately. You are hired immediately. Okay. Your rental starts immediately. So you say to that person, well, if you want me to move in on Monday, let's sign on Monday. What's the point of me signing now and then I can't move in until Monday? Okay, so your rental or your hire started immediately. Okay. Now, how do you pay? You pay, let's say, monthly. Okay. How long are you going to stay here? Allahu Alam. I don't know. It's the same thing. Job, house. How long are you going to stay there? Indefinitely? Well, they said I have to give notice. Okay. That's still not good enough. Because still means you don't know 100% of what you're going to be paying. You don't know 100% of your time. 100% of what you owe, 100% of what you are owed. So how are you going to pay for the next month? Going to do a new contract. So if you follow me, you're saying, so you're saying I need to say to my boss every time to hire me again? Yeah, essentially that's it. But how, that's why I said needs to agree. But how you can make that easy? By saying to the person, this one you're renting the house from, that's the one you're hiring to, or he's being hired by you, etc. You say, okay, Monday we're going to do our agreement. That's when we start. Okay, I'm going to pay you at the beginning of the month. I'm going to pay you on Monday. That is for the month. How long you want to stay? Well, this is what we're going to do. Every month, when I pay rent to you, that's me paying for new I'm starting a new contract with you, paying for a new month. It's not connected to the previous month. It's new month for me. Then another month. Every month I pay for you, every month I pay to you is separate. When I pay it to you, it's a new contract between me and you. We don't have to say anything more now. So what's happening here? This is like now how you can sell without words. Some said you can rent and without words too. You can hire without words, but needs to be in a normal way. Like here, normal way means now you guys, you have routine, you understand, you know what's going on, and you don't have to keep saying it over and over again. So if you are the one who is renting out the property, you say to that person, this is how we're going to do it. Every month is going to be a new contract between me and you, a new deal between me and you. They are not connected. This does mean, he might say to you, well, does this mean then that any month I want to leave, I can leave? I would say yes, just like it also means any month I want to evict you, I can evict you. But means when we complete the month though. At the completion of the month, not in the middle of the month, we have to finish the contract. You don't want to stay anymore, then if you're not going to pay me, you can go. Or if I don't want to take your payment, then you can go. That's what that contract would mean. You might not have to say all those words, but that's what that would mean. You can just say every month's going to be a new contract, a new deal. It's not connected to the previous one. And now, once we understand that between each other, we don't have to keep saying it. So is that clear for you? There's still more though, but do you have a question? Okay. Now, even easier, maybe. If you are dealing with non-Muslims in a non-Muslim land, according to the Hanafis, you can deal with them the way they deal. So that's so easy. Why didn't it start there? For two reasons. One, to make you understand the rule, really, Yani, to make you understand the rule. Even the Hanafis, their rule's not far from what we are saying, but they have that provision about if you're dealing with the kafir in the kafir land. That's not in the Shafi'i school. So these things I'm telling you, you can't do it in Hanafi school also, but if you're dealing with kafir in the kafir land, then you can deal with them the way they deal if you get the profit, the benefit. Okay. So what I just told you now also alludes to something else, which is, didn't I say, if you were to do the deal this way, I was saying something. If you're the one who's leasing this out to a person, that's what you're going to say to him. Every month's going to be a new month. What if you're the one who is hiring? You are the one who wants to rent. And the one who is doing the renting is not doing it validly. Like he wants you to sign now and move in later. This one also, if you're dealing with kafir in a kafir country, you can do that. according to the Hanafis. Pay now for a rental is going to start. But fundamentally, that's not valid because now this is how renting is like buying. It's not like buying in some ways, but it is like buying in other ways. Would you buy something it's not yours yet? No. So, like that, you don't rent something and it's not yours yet. So, if you're the one who's doing the hiring here, if that's kafir and kafir land, you can do it. If he's a Muslim, then you want to talk to him. Mm. Now, didn't I say that if we did it this way, in that scenario, which that every month is a new month and we're not going to keep repeating our contract. And so this would mean that at the end of any month, you can cancel or I can cancel. Yani, you don't have to, you are not committing to a new month necessarily. I could technically not expect you to pay for the next month. But that's balanced by the fact that you could technically expect me to ask you to leave. But has to be at the end of the month. Why? Because we have to see the contract through. Why? We can't break it? No, you cannot break it. One of the very important rules about renting and hiring is that it is binding from both sides. Binding from both sides. That means you cannot quit and you cannot fire. You cannot evict, meaning early, can't just kick him out. And you cannot abandon. I don't know if there's a better word than that. You have to complete the deal. This is called lazim minal jihatain. Binding from both sides. Now you might say, isn't that risky? And then the answer would be, yes, indeed it is. And if you were to ask, didn't the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid the risky deal? The risky business? The answer is yes, he did sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except what he permitted. Excluding what he permitted. Yani, there's a basic rule, which is that the risky deal is invalid. And you need to be able to identify a risky deal. But then there is an exception to the rule. And as a rule, the exception to the rule proves the rule, does not disprove the rule. Exception to the rule proves the rule itself. What's the rule? That you cannot do risky deals, but there's exceptions to the rule. One of them is renting and hiring. What makes them exceptions? What makes them exceptions is the lawbringer legalizing them, because the lawbringer legalized them. That's sufficient. But the scholars say that's the proof, but the scholars say there is a reason too. There's a difference between the proof and the reason. The proof is that the lawbringer legalized it. That's the proof. You don't always know a reason. Is there a reason? Do we know a reason why the lawbringer legalized this risky deal? Yes, the illah, the reason is because of the slaves' intense need for this type of deal. So the types of deals are known. They are listed. And among them, there are a few of them that actually are risky. They fall under the definition of risky deal. Renting and hiring is a risky deal, but it's a legal one. Also, there are some others like offering a reward for someone who does something. Whoever does such and such, there's a reward of $1,000. This is a legal deal, although it's risky, and some other ones too. Where is the risk here? The risk here is in doing a binding deal with a freeloader or a scoundrel or some lazy person, some unqualified person, person who lacks good work ethic. So that being the case, then you're going to think, well, inshallah, before you engage in a rental or a hire. Just like, inshallah, before you get married. Think, well, and some other things. Because you know this risk, or now that you know, now that the risk of renting and hiring has been brought into light, then know that you cannot do safety deposit. Or whatever someone might call it. That's haram, invalid. You say, yeah, it's going to cost you this much to move in plus safety deposit. That's invalid. What's that safety deposit for? That safety deposit is because this person is wants to get involved in a risky deal and is too scared to take the risk. That's when a person wants to get involved in a risky deal without taking a risk. That's invalid. And if someone gave you such a safety deposit, what you're supposed to do? Give back to him the exact money he gave you. How would someone take a safety deposit and just mix it in his money and spend it? It never became his. That's how people are doing invalid deals, how they are oblivious to the realities of their contracts, and how they are amassing many sins that uh they are unaware of. That's why a person is going to be so ambushed on Judgment Day. Invalid sales, invalid deals, uh, besides other sins, missing obligations, sins, things they never knew were sins, Yani. Is this case the same like in the Hanafi school? This is, if I understand the Hanafi school here, it won't work, safety deposit. Because where is the benefit for you? Yani, this one gives the advantage to the one who's renting the property. Does the benefit count as having a place to live? Well, that's what the rent is for. So that's a loss there. You're giving him rent for a place to live. So how he got to also take something extra? He's the one who is benefiting here. So if he won't do it without that, then reword the contract with him. Tell him, okay, you want this much money for me to move in? I will move in for this much money, not for a safety deposit. Yani will agree. First month is this much money, and the rest of the months is such and such. And then when you do it that way, he should agree because he's not gonna have to give it back to you. But he wants to have something in case of damages. No? Yeah, it will be his. You said it's not just the wording, was the wording that made all the difference. Because what he's saying is, he said, if he returns it, would it be valid to take it? The Hanafi said, it is permissible to take a kafir's money with his acceptance. يجوز أخذ ماله برضاه. That's what the Hanafi said. يجوز أخذ مال الكافر برضاه. You can take a kafir's money if he accepts to give it to you. However, Yani, just something will not leave me alone about this question, which is that why would he return it? Unless he did not understand the deal. If he understood the deal, then he probably won't return it. Because you're gonna have to, he has to agree with you. You say to him, this you want safety deposit. Yani, he's saying to you, I want the first month's rent, the last month's rent, which this last month is not even known. That's not valid. You can't pay for the unknown. And also, I want uh, a safety deposit. This is the person who wants to do the risky deal. without a risk. In their lack of guidance, they didn't see that they gave an advantage to one side over the other. When I say they, I mean the people who make laws other than the laws of Islam. Or some way, somehow, they thought it was fine to give one side the advantage over the other instead of it being fair and square deal. I give you the rent, you give me the place. That's it. That's how simple it's supposed to be. Subhanallah. Just like that, too. Technically, you should be able to sell your house, sell your car. Why you have to go through all these hoops and everything? Because of the people who make laws that are not Islamic laws. So they make it more difficult, actually. And most of that is driven by greed, not by wanting welfare of the people. Okay, so renting is binding from both sides. So now you might ask me, all right, it's clear what you are saying. So there's no way out of this. I got into a deal with someone I shouldn't have gotten into a deal with. The answer is that a rental or a hire is like a loan. In what way? In the meaning that you can pardon it, can pardon it. And with the meaning that, yani, with that meaning, with the meaning that you can pardon it. Also, with the meaning that when you're the one who owes someone something, you cannot just arbitrarily decide to get out of it. The difference between a real loan and a rental is that it's from one side to the other. A rental is an exchange between two. It's not from one side to the other. It's like a mutual loan. Now you both owe each other. And neither one of you can quit your loan. What loan can you quit by your decision? But you can pardon the other. And if you pardon the other, doesn't mean he pardons you. So you say to him, well, I will pardon you if you pardon me. That's how you're going to get out of that. So that's clear for you. That's not the same as saying you're fired. So if we were under Islamic rules, that one will say, you cannot fire me. Yani, or if you want, just pay me everything you owe me. And that's fine. I'll just go. But I want all of the money that we agreed to, that 100% that we agreed to. I want that. So if you want, you can just keep me on the job. And if you want, you can give it to me and I'll leave. Okay. Yes. I'll repeat it. So we are saying you cannot fire, and you cannot quit. Rather, what you can do is, yani, no firing, no quitting. But what you can do is pardon the other. You can pardon the other. Relieve if you want. You can relieve the other of duty. That's what pardon means. You can relieve the other of duty. So that's the religious judgment there. Sometimes, in some cases, the people, like people who practice other laws, sometimes they adhere to this and sometimes they don't. For example, when it comes to a lease, for an apartment or car for so much time that they agreed to, if they agreed to a time, then they won't let the person just get out. Just like they won't let the person just evict him. They'll take him to court first. They will say, this one reneged on the agreement. So that's what we're talking about here. You can't quit and you can't fire. That means also you cannot evict before time and you cannot abandon the property, meaning not pay for it. You don't have to stay there, but you still have to pay for it. So then, if that's religious rules, then that means you can't say to the person, you're fired, get lost, get out of here. Then he can say to you, well, technically, religiously, you cannot fire me. You owe me and I owe you. So if you want, you can relieve me of duty, but I do not relieve you of 100% of what I agreed to be paid by you. One could say that. I do not relieve you of 100% of what you agreed to pay me. So if you want, just keep me on the job because I expect to get all of my money from you that I agreed to. And if you want, just give me the money and I'll leave. You can relieve me of duty. So that pardoning the other does not go both ways. I mean, you cannot make the other person make you not owe. You cannot make yourself not owe the other person. Yeah, if they agree, yeah, which means they pardoned each other or they relieved each other of duty. You can't make the other person not owe you. Sorry, you can't make yourself not owe the other person. You can't, here in this type of deal, make yourself not owe the other person. That's what it means to be binding here from both sides. There's details though, like a person deserves all of his salary. Let me say, okay, you're going to agree to a price to pay this person for some task or some time. Let's say the task though. So this task, you know 100% of this task, and he does too. And both of you know 100% of the payment for it. So this payment, it might be above market price, below market price, but you agreed to it. The job, the task, it has a market price. The task, it has a market price. The payment, it might itself be above or below or on market price. whatever you agreed to. Now, how much does the person deserve in comparison to his output? How much does the person deserve in comparison to his output? So if you know this, this might make you not give him all of his pay at once. So that makes you get better outcome. He deserves the market price of his output. The market price of his output. I'm not talking about his completion yet, though. At his completion, he deserves whatever you agreed to. In the process, he deserves the market price of his output. Is that clear? Okay. Yeah, I can repeat, no problem. What this means is, let's say the task is painting a wall. And on the market, you might pay someone $200 to paint this wall. But you agreed to pay him, yani, $400. So he starts painting the wall. You didn't agree to a time, you agreed to a task. So he starts painting the wall. He has painted a portion of it, and he's going to stop for now. So it's valid to give to him what that work was worth. Not all of the money. You understand? What that work was worth, not what is worth doesn't mean how much you agreed to pay him. What is worth is going to go back to the market price. How much? Yeah, he hasn't finished. Yes, because he hasn't finished. Then he come back the next day. He completes more. Maybe he didn't finish it still. It would be valid to give him what his work was worth here. When he completes the job, you give him whatever you agree to. Yeah, the remaining amount. Alhamdulillah. And that is if you haven't already agreed to some other agreement. If you've already agreed to some other agreement, then whatever you agreed to. Like all of it when you're done. Or uh half of it now, half of it when you're done, etc. Whatever you agreed to is what you agreed to. MashaAllah. Okay, I think that's good for today. Still didn't cover what actually I intended to cover today. Allah knows best. Alhamdulillah. So maybe the next time, inshallah, we'll cover that one. Any question?